tifu by buying my coworker's lunch and getting fired for it, by userly Harvey Lalswald. This happened a couple years ago, but I'm glad it did because it showed me how toxic car sales really is. Let this be a warning to anyone thinking about taking up a sales position. I've worked sales multiple industries and no matter what they say they're all like this. The salesmen use high-pressure tactics on customers because employers use high-pressure tactics on their salesmen. As I stated, it was a sales job and one of the rewards for the sales floor hitting their weekly quota was getting a free lunch on Saturday. It was the middle of winter, sales were slow and being a commission-only job with a draw system, meaning if you earn less than minimum wage they make up the difference, but you have to pay it back out of your next check, or it's due upon termination. Everyone was broke. The owner came in and yelled at us. Everyone was bummed about losing their lunch and a couple people were talking about quitting, so I called in an order and bought everyone lunch with my own money. I was fired a couple days later for insubordination. TLDR, the sales floor missed their quota, so I bought everyone lunch and was fired for insubordination. TIFU by discussing my hourly wage with my trainer, by user have a inthoscope. I was working with the guy training me and one conversation led to another. I asked how much was he making an hour since we are in the same field and he has more experience than me, hence why he is training me. He tells me I make enough. I say okay. He states back, why do you ask? I then say I believe in discussing wages with my coworkers, this lets me know if I'm being paid fair compared to my peers and where I should be at in a certain time span. He looks at me with a sly grin on his face and asks how much am I making as the new guy. I look deep into his eyes and tell him the truth, $28 an hour. That grin turned to angry strings of cuss words and loss of control. Come to find out he has been here for 4 years, is completely qualified in everything and he is also the only trainer, yet I make more than him. He proceeds to get further upset with me and says this is why I don't discuss wages, it should be illegal. To then I reply, a minute ago you said you make enough, and now you're upset at me because the company is paying you less than the new guy, when you should be discussing this with the manager, and here you are still defending the company. The rest of the work was completed in silence and hostile body language. TLDR, my trainer got upset with me for discussing my hourly wage with him. Come to find out I make more than him. Edit. He didn't say much after the conversation and he was still visibly angry by the time we finished the project. However, I did see him in the office a half hour later joking with the manager. Not sure about what. The part about me looking into his eyes, it wasn't a sexual thing or a power move. It was more like, WTF, you didn't want to discuss it but a second later you're asking what I make. Almost weighing in if the conversation should continue. I try to be aware of body language and at that point I was more having an internal debate by processing his. Please keep your awards. I don't know what to do with it. Instead encourage these kind of talks with your coworkers and be aware of wages in your field. If you're underpaid, speak to HR. If you don't know and do not want to discuss it, apply for jobs in a similar field. See what the rates are and leverage that. Edit, grammar. Update, I did not work with him today. I did ask him for help and he assisted. At that opportunity I asked him what his plans are. I had printed out the spectrum of wage posted online, as this company is still looking for new hires and he declined it. He said he ripped the manager a new one and he personally feels completely violated. However, management agreed to a wage increase after the new year. I left it at that as he personally seemed satisfied with the management's response. Not sure how the situation was discussed and what ripped a new one means, but he seems a bit more at ease today. I wished him well and continued with my day's work. I can't believe this blew up the way it did. I have read half the comments and enjoy reading the healthy discussions. Once again pursue that money. Opinions don't pay the bills. TIFU by tackling a rude customer in front of my boss, his wife, and a full bar, by user fucking gung creative. I work at one of the most famous bars in my hometown. It was a very busy shift and I was working really hard, with only my boss helping out a little bit. I take orders, prepare the drinks, serve them and cash in. For about 6 hours there was a group of rude, drunk customers who were causing problems left and right, to the point where I had to apologize to other customers. I told my boss what was going on, but after the recent lockdown he was desperate to make any money he could. So they stayed. They repeatedly made stupid requests specifically for wasting my time and made fun of me for having to do what they say. They were insulting me over hours and I had to try really hard to keep my cool. I had to discuss with them with every drink I served them as they often refused to pay. I then had to call my boss over just to have them tell him that they were willing to pay, but I refused to take their money. That was their kind of sick fun and they really enjoyed themselves while getting on everyone's nerves. Suddenly the whole bar smells of cigarettes. The group had started to smoke inside. My boss's wife told the guys that they have to smoke outside. They called her a stupid bitch but went outside. My boss still allowed them on our premises. Business finally calms down a bit after 7 hours without a break, and I sit down at the table where my boss's wife and their daughter were sitting to have a few seconds to chat with them before returning to work. That's when my boss's wife saw one of the guys smoking inside again. She said, "He's smoking again, what's his problem?" and I immediately knew who she was talking about. I turned my head to look at the bar and saw him standing about 3 meters, around 9, from the entrance, a lit cigarette in his hand. I jump up from the bench and walk over with heavy steps. I was angry. I grab him around his chest and start dragging him out. I'm really skinny and he was at least twice as heavy and a little bit taller than me. But still, I apparently misjudged his ability to resist and was dragging him too fast. Suddenly he trips over his own feet right as we were through the door and he fell between the outdoor tables, dragging me down with him, making a huge mess in the process. I'm in complete shock because I didn't plan to hurt him, and I was screaming at him without realizing it. I only snapped back to reality when my boss and his wife dragged me away from the guy and his angry friends. I apologized 1,000 times. After half an hour my boss and his wife calmed down and told me that it was extremely stupid to act in blind rage but not the end of the world, because nobody got hurt. I feel so terrible and don't want to go back to work, because I know I will be judged for my mistake for weeks or months to come. It's a miracle I didn't get fired on the spot, but I now have to work all the unpleasant shifts like Christmas and New Year's Eve. I'm okay with that. What really messes me up is the extreme guilt and shame I feel. It was the first time in 7 years of working in this bar that I lost control of my anger when dealing with rude customers. Hopefully also the last time I made such a stupid mistake. TLDR, tackled a rude customer to the ground in front of my boss and miraculously didn't lose my job. Shame and guilt are eating away at my soul. Edit, spelling. English is not my first language. Feel free to point out errors so I can improve the post's readability. Edit 2, thank you for all your comments. You really helped me a lot. I'm now actively searching for a new job. Also, today I joined a martial arts club to better control my anger and my body. So hopefully next time I'm in a stressful situation I'll be able to think more clearly and act with a bit more, let's say, precision. I think I can now see the positive side of this incident and will change a few things in my life. Thanks to all of you. TIFU by buying a clone A Willy for my girlfriend's birthday gift, by user Likeable Depression. Long post, TLDR at the bottom. TIFU because my naive heart thought buying a clone A Willy kit would somehow result in a thoughtful, personalized gift for my girlfriend's birthday. I'd like to start off by saying that I'd describe myself as somewhat of a realist. Would any reputable dildo maker trying to make a dime want to mass produce my dude? No chance. But proud of my average buddy, I am. Sure. I can link the chain of events that snowballed into this unfortunate moment back to that fateful day our friends, my girlfriend and I were planning her upcoming birthday. We're a crude group of folks, so without fail the conversation about what we should buy her started with big OL dildos and ended up with the classic suggestion of a certain popular DIY molding kit. We were all laughing and joking of course, but when the day came for me to sit down and order her actual gifts, I couldn't stop thinking about what her response was when it came up that day. Amidst the noise of the crowd and the laughter, my love looked up at me and said, "Do it? You won't do it." She wasn't being serious, but then again when I felt like I just needed one more gift I thought, you know what, by God I will do it. I did my research. With most anything you'll find online there will be mixed reviews and it seemed like the worst ratings were overridden by the best ones, all of which reassured me that if I just took my time and followed the exact steps everything will be just fine. I played it safe and ordered extra molding powder just in case. Her birthday came around, I showed her the molding kit, we laughed, it went back in the closet, and weeks passed. I had all but forgotten it even existed until yesterday morning when I received an email from the company asking how I liked it. It was a rainy Saturday with nothing to do, so I mean, what else could be better than shoving your junk into a tube full of some cool alginate stuff to memorialize yourself forever? I read and reread the instructions and ventured off alone with my supplies into the bathroom to make greatness happen. You don't really think about what all needs to happen in order to successfully pull off a task like this until you are in it. All of a sudden, there you are, stark naked holding yourself with one hand, a tube in the other, and surrounded by a bunch of material that needs to be mixed perfectly in sync and at the right temperature, etc. First try was a flop, so thank God I bought extra supplies. Everything about the whole process left me the opposite of excited, and it was very hard, unlike I was at that moment, to apparently stay in the mood for the 2 minutes it requires. I thought I did an okay job but knew I wanted a redo, but with company this time. I cleaned up in the shower and recruited some help for round 2. I read it's so much better having a sexy helper who can focus on the lab experiment steps while you just focus on yourself. Makes sense. Yet again, it was very difficult to stay in the mood while looking the love of your life in the face as goop is dripping down your legs and all over the floor, but I gave it the old college try and closed my eyes and thought happy thoughts for a couple of minutes. The mold seemed okay, but it was really hard to tell. We poured the silicone mix into the tubes and walked away from it to cure overnight. I woke up this morning and shuffled off to the bathroom to see the fruits of my labor, only to find that I now have not just one, but 2 fully to scale and highly detailed replicas of my flaccid dude. She's still sleeping and hasn't seen them yet, and I don't know about y'all, but something tells me that no one would appreciate such a gift. I left them on the sink for a nice morning surprise, but I feel like tifu. TLDR, I bought a Clone A Willy kit for my GF's birthday and accidentally made 2 unimpressive clones of my flaccid dude. TIFU by scheduling a pedicure for my wife on her birthday, by user ETZBR00 tall. It has been a stressful week. My wife is 20 weeks prego, had a storm knock over a huge tree in our house, no internet as a result, bought a overpriced used car we needed, and I have had a busy work week, so I haven't been around as much to take care of house chores. Overall, just enough going on that my wife's birthday just felt like it was at the bottom of the priority list, and not that she really cares, but she is an amazing mother and even better partner, so she deserves a decent birthday at least. So, I thought it would a great idea to surprise my wife with a pedicure for her and our 4yo daughter. She had been mentioning she wanted more time spent out and about with our 4yo, and they love painting nails together, so I thought this would be a relaxing win. Well, she calls me about 30 minutes into the 60-minute appointment because my daughter is hysterical. Screaming, hyperventilating, demanding to go home and not wanting anyone to touch her. This is very out of character for my daughter, who is typically chill, little shy, and will STFU if my wife gives her the look. Spoiler, the look didn't work. Wife said the salon was super helpful, the staff tried to do anything to help the kiddo calm down. Even to the point of offering her an iPad to watch something. That's some top-level shit to my 4yo, as we don't typically hand her electronics to play with. Ultimately, she just didn't want anything to do with the staff and was being rude and loud enough for the whole salon to be tuned in. My wife couldn't figure out why she was freaking out, except that my daughter wanted me to go to get my nails done. I was chilling with our 20mo while they went out. However, eventually got her to calm down and sit quietly while my wife got her nails painted, expedited service. Well, my wife took her out for a treat after to try and make light of this whole traumatic experience. Like I said, this is not normal, so we realized that she must have been just overwhelmed and uncomfortable for some reason. Then they came home for birthday pizza dinner where we had our discussion. I asked my daughter how the pedicure went. Her first response was, "I didn't have a pedicure, Dad." So I asked her why. "Dad, I thought they were going to cut my toes off." I almost spit my food out with laughter, so I asked her to clarify. Turns out, she saw the nail file and thought they were going to cut off her toes with it. She was too scared to say anything at the salon. Now that we reassured her that they don't cut off toes, she wants to go again with Dad. TLDR. Scheduled wife and daughter a pedicure. Daughter legit thought the staff were going to cut off her toes and she freaked the fuck out.